Before I started playing guitar, I was confused like most beginners. I didn't know what nylon strings were or steel strings, and I didn't know if I needed to use a pick or not. I was completely lost. And when I first decided that I wanted to learn to play guitar, I walked into a guitar store and I really just wanted to walk back out because there were so many instruments and gadgets and accessories on the wall, and I just didn't know what any of these things were for. I remember just standing in the store thinking, what do I actually need to play guitar? And I think this is one of the reasons that a lot of people never start to begin with. It's not that they don't want to start, it's that the feeling is that it's too overwhelming for beginners. Today, I want to give you the very basics of what you're going to need in order to play guitar. And I'm just going to talk about 4 things. I'm going to tell you why each of these things are important. That way, you can focus on the things that you actually need and ignore everything else. When you're starting out to play guitar, it's really easy to get confused. You think that you need to have the right stuff, and you think that with that stuff, you'll be just ready to play. What really matters, especially in the beginning, is just removing the friction in your ability to play the instrument that you have. And you want as few barriers as you can between you and being able to play the guitar successfully. Every extra thing that you think you're going to need will probably just add more complexity and make it harder for you to play. The first item on my list is really an obvious one. You need to pick up a guitar. And what I usually tell people is that you need to be careful of what guitar you're picking, because it's more of a personal experience and personal choice what's good for you. And if you want to know more about different types of guitars, I actually have a free download for you that's called the Guitar Comparison Cheat Sheet, and that will give you some basics about different types of guitars to get you started. But really, some basic things that you can think about with your guitar are things like, it's going to be too big for you or small for you. What is the most comfortable? What makes the right sounds that you want to have? Do you want an electric guitar or not an electric? And you see already it's getting into fairly complex. I actually have another whole video about my movement from a Cordoba Classical, which was a 3/4 size classical guitar, to the Taylor GS Mini, which is an acoustic steel string guitar, this guitar behind me. And I talk about some of the things that I learned in poorly choosing a guitar. So please check out that video. I'll include a link in the description below. It does require that you go into a guitar store and test some out so you can get the feeling of it. And if you are deathly afraid of going into the guitar store, or you have some anxiety about that, I actually have another video where I delve into how you can become confident in going into the guitar store. If you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, or subscribe. Thanks for supporting my channel. The second item that is critical for you to have is going to be music. I have a few different options. The first is buying some sort of songbook that has songs that you like and that you can try playing. And as an example, within this book, that's the Beatles book, everything just has the chord charts, so you can easily learn how to play the chords as a starting point. Another option for music is to use an app, something like Chordify or Ultimate Guitar. And I personally use Ultimate Guitar because it allows me to select a lot of different songs, and I can transpose the songs so I can sing in other keys. It just has a lot more flexibility, and you can use the same app on your phone, iPad, computer, all these different devices, and move between them pretty seamlessly. So that's been a great app for me. It's something that I would suggest. And while there is a cost for that, it definitely is worth it. Third option, if you want to go more cheap, you can actually find some music sheets online, and you can find songs that you can then just print out and make your own book. I think the biggest thing to remember when you're looking at options for songs is being able to have a lot of choices, that if you're limiting yourself to one particular book, you may get bored over time. So I think this is why, for me, the Ultimate Guitar ended up being a good choice, because I can hear a song on the radio and then I can immediately go and look up the song and have the music for me, and it's easy to access, and I can save the song and I can even save different versions of it. Item number 3, the need for a tuner. You will quickly realize that the tuner is an essential tool. If you try to play your guitar and your guitar is out of tune, it's not going to sound good and you're not going to enjoy it. From a cost perspective, a tuner can go from $10 to $20 in that price range. I'll share one in the links below as far as my equipment that I use. Little feature I didn't even know about until I bought this Yamaha, but on the top of it, there's actually, you can just put a battery in there and you have a tuner that's built in. So if you have that, you may not need a tuner, but ultimately you need a tuner either on the guitar or the clip-on style. I guess I would say don't skip it. A few times I have forgotten to tune the guitar, and then I think, song doesn't sound very good. So you'll quickly realize that it does have an important place in the top 4 list. Moving on to item number 4, and that is a capo. And when I first started playing, I had never heard of a capo. I didn't know what it was for. I had seen people with some metal thing on their guitar, and I just didn't know why you would have it. The real reason that you have this is so as you were learning different songs, if you know the different chord shapes for a particular song, but you want to change the key of the song, it's easy to move it up and down the neck of the guitar so that you can play in different keys. And so it is a very versatile piece of equipment. And you will see when you look up some different songs, I know The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel, you need to have a capo on, I think, 6 or 7. And then the Don't Think Twice, It's All Right by Bob Dylan. That one also, you're going to have it on there if you're going to sing it in the original key. Now, if you're going to change keys and you want to do it some other way, that's fine. But I have found this particular thing, I use them all the time. And I actually ended up buying a set of 2. And so I have one for each guitar that I can keep next to it. And I leave them out around the house all the time. So it kind of gives you an idea of how often and frequently I can use this tool. So what are some of the pieces of equipment that you're going to need later? The first one that I'm going to talk about is actually picks. So you can get all different types and varieties. But the reality is this isn't even required. You can play with your hand, so you don't actually need a pick. So some people will play with a pick or without a pick. Some people find them helpful. Other people just never play with them. The next thing I want to talk about is this strap. And so this, while it looks pretty cool and it can be pretty handy, you're really going to use a strap when you're standing up. When I'm sitting down, I'm just putting the guitar in my leg and holding it up. The strap's kind of loose. So it doesn't really serve that much of a purpose unless maybe I want to rest, but even then it flops down, so maybe not so helpful. So I think straps, while they look cool and they're nice if you're going to be standing and playing, that is definitely a time that you would want one. Otherwise, again, this becomes optional and it becomes almost like an accessory, like a hat or a purse. It looks fancy, but unless you're actually playing in a band and you're in front of an audience, you probably don't need it. The next item I wanted to talk about is a music stand. What's nice about the music stand is that it is adjustable and you can put it at whatever height you want to have it to read your music. So if you do want to stand up and play, you can put it really high, or you can just adjust it depending on if you're a couch or a chair. So I do find this is particularly helpful, and it ends up becoming a storage place for a lot of different things. The next thing, the infamous gig bag. So unless you're planning on going somewhere with this guitar, if you're going to go to classes or if you're going to go to a friend's house and you want to bring the guitar, this is definitely essential. And this was a bag that my Taylor GS Mini came in. So it was a nice bonus, but for this other guitar behind me, the Yamaha, I actually don't have a gig bag for that. And I haven't really taken it anywhere. So it's another one of those things that it depends on whether you need it or not and how often you might actually use it. String changes. On a guitar, if you're playing a lot, you probably need to change the guitar strings every say 6 months, I noticed right around that 5 to 6 month mark, I needed to change the strings on my Taylor GS Mini. And so I was able to just buy a kit to change the strings, and they're not very expensive, and it does make it faster to change your strings. So that is a nice thing to have, but again, you don't need that for probably 5 or 6 months, so you can sort of postpone that as a later buy. You don't need to start with this perfect setup of equipment. You need just 4 basic things: your guitar, your music, your capo, and your tuner, and that's it. You're good to go. This is how I started. This is how Ed Sheeran and Bob Dylan start. We all start in the same place with just some basic equipment, and then we just learn. I would now like to hear from you. What is one thing that you bought for guitar that you later realized you didn't actually need? Or if you're new to guitar, what is something that you're unsure about whether you need or not? Please add these to the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out my other videos about learning guitar as an adult, especially the one about choosing the right guitar and overcoming the fear of going into a guitar store. All my links for my other videos are included in the description below, as well as an equipment list if you're interested. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.